It is late April, and I want to take you around the garden to show you what I've got planted and what I'm excited about, and some truths, some just realities of the situation that's going on with the garden this year. So come along as I show you what's going on in April. So for starters, let's begin in my in-ground section where I planted some Blue Lake bushing snap beans in these two beds right here. We have probably around 200 plants total. We got about 3 rows in. You can kind of see how I planted them in there just like that with some irrigation lines. Did that 2 times. I think it's really interesting how I planted these out. So I planted these first, and then I planted this row like 2 days later, and you can see the size difference. Plus, the way that the sun sets on the house, these get a lot more sun than these since the house is facing the west. And so, as you can see, these are a little bit smaller than these. I just think that that's fascinating. And then we have my peppers that are in ground. I believe this is 19 pepper plants. On this side, we have pretty much all the bells. We have uh, California Wonder 300, something like that, as well as just the regular. And then this last one is an orange sun. So this whole section on this right side going along here, it's all bell peppers. And then on this side is what I say more specialty peppers, I reckon. So right here we have a serrano. Never grown a serrano, but I think it'll be great for some salsa, or I don't know, we'll see. And then habaneros for that as well. So we got 2 habaneros, 2 Hungarian peppers. I'm not sure what those are, but I had the seed, so I figured I would grow them. Some banana peppers, and then some jalapenos. And you can see we've got some jalapenos growing right there. Right there. Back here we have, there's a banana pepper right there. There's 2 bales right there, just chilling. And so that's kind of there. And then here in this in-ground section, we have pink eye purple hull peas. As you can see how they're growing. I think that's really cool because the sun sets to the west, obviously. But this is all pink eye purple hull peas. I probably need to go out and thin them just a tad, maybe every other one. But did pretty much the same thing with the snap beans. So this is all of the in-ground beds in this section. Very pleased with how that's turning out right now. So moving on to the raised bed section, most of everything else is raised bed with a few in-ground exceptions. I have some marigolds, of course, the staple right there, with some squash plants, pretty tightly packed together, a little bit closer than I would typically do. I would probably put 3 in this bed. I do have 3 in here, but there was originally 1 there that didn't pan out, but that's okay. So we have 3 squash there, some chives, of course, and then 4 squash in this bed with our marigolds interplanted in there, and our marigolds look so good. um yeah, there's our squash. Moving on to tomatoes that we started from seed inside, and as you can see, they look incredible. There's a little bit of some spotting on it and everything, but that's just Mississippi humidity. But look at that, we already have some Roma tomatoes that are wanting to peep out. Our basil, our marigold, which looks like is about to flower right there. And you can see just the amount of flowers. So we have 8 Roma tomatoes here with some basil interplanted. Then we have 8 more. And again, the flowers. And then we have some fruit over here that's decided to come out. More flowers, basil, marigolds in the middle. This basil has exploded. Don't know what that's about. Not complaining. More Roma tomatoes. Now these 2 smaller ones were planted a little bit later, and with the seed starting, and so they're a little bit smaller. As well as this entire bed was a later addition, which we have 4. I got a Cherokee purple tomato from someone in the back. as well as the 4 more tomatoes. I'm just going to keep them relatively staple and then have an ongoing harvest. But here's all of the tomato beds. That's what they look like going along there. And next we have these 2 circle beds, which are full of okra. And so how we have, what is that, 7 plants, I think, 7 okra plants, all here, all started from seed. Most everything started from seed. I just stuck the seed in the ground and we'll see how it goes. So we got this bed here. Look at that. And then we have this bed here, all okra with some oyas. These are cool. So that's going to be okra right there. Could be a mistake. We'll see. Maybe big harvest, hopefully. And then we have the cucumbers. Again, started from seed. They are in ground. So I just got those fertilized and they look really good. They're starting to throw out some tendrils. So my idea with that is once they get big enough, I'm going to weave it through all 3 of these on both sides and send it over the arch. And so that it'll fill in that whole space, keep it off the ground, but also provide a little bit of shade down there and just in the middle of the garden. So we'll see how that goes. And remember those in-ground beds that I did not too terribly long ago. This Coreopsis, something ate on this, and I believe a cat, the one that you might have just saw, decided to attack it when it flowered. So this one looks really sad. That is a black-eyed Susan that I grew from seed that is starting to get established and emerge because I did transplant it from my greenhouse. This one is starting to flower and throwing out a lot of buds. This is a Coreopsis. This is native to our area. Just a zinnia that I stuck in the ground that I started from seed in the greenhouse. And then another black-eyed Susan started from seed. Again, native to our area. Kind of want this little native area, so this will come out, and so with the other side. So that's this section done, little archway. I'm excited for the cucumbers to eventually go over, so we'll see how that goes. Now over into this section. This is where I planted the pink eye purple hull peas last year. Same thing that they were in that bed over there. And so I just did 3 rows here. They've come up. They don't get as much sun right now, but once it becomes more summer and heat, they will get some full sun and honestly take off, because that's what they did last year. And these 2 beds produced a lot of peas. So I'm excited for that again, assuming, we get that situation going. So there's this bed. It's 3 feet deep by 16 feet long. So we got an 8-foot bed and technically an 8-foot bed of just pink eye purple hull bush peas. These are our 3 fruit trees. We have a Methley plum, an Alberta peach, and a Santa Rosa plum. So we do have some Santa Rosa plums this year. This is the first time that it's actually fruited, or that I've actually let it fruit. So we have, I think, 4. I think that's what I counted. And the other one is somewhere, there it is, up there. That would be the 4th one right there. And then the peach tree did throw out a lot of blooms, and this thing has really gotten big. It was pretty much this in like 1 leaf when I originally planted 2 years ago, and now it's this. I don't know what I did, but it's already exploded in growth since I pruned it. And then this one as well. I mean, it looks so good. There's no fruit on these 2, I don't believe. The fruit fell off of the peach. We had a cold snap that came late and it just flopped them down. But you know what? That's okay. But I'm very well pleased with the way that these 3 trees have really come up. Now these are just nasturtiums I stuck in the ground just to see what would happen. I mean, it gets too hot here, and as you can see, they look terrible, but it's fine. It's whatever. They say it tastes peppery. I don't know about that. Okay, yeah, it kind of does taste peppery. Interesting. Never tasted that before. This is a little flower patch. Don't really know what to call it. I just had this little circle area here around this where the light pole is, attaches the string lights, and I stuck some. All of these I started from seed. So we have some zinnias, of course, and it's just crazy the way that this has branched out. It's very interesting. I put that there, and then these are, I think it's called Mexican torch flower. I did not. I got this seed for free, and I did not expect it to take off like that. But I stuck it in the ground when it's about, I had probably 2 or 3 leaves, and it was about yay high, maybe 4 inches tall, and it has exploded. Both of them have exploded. I really did not anticipate that. So we will see what happens with those. More zinnias and just a marigold right there. So this is going to be that circle bed. I'm hoping to get some pollinators in this area. Now we have this area, probably the area I'm most proud of, I think. This area was just recently done, the video where we planted some blueberries in raised beds. And you can look back at that video and see the stark difference in how they look. So here we have a Premier, Brightwell, Climax, and Tiff Blue variety, rabbit eye varieties of blueberry bushes. And I am just very well pleased by the way that they're growing. The moisture retention of the soil. I mean, look at that. We're technically kind of in a drought right now, and I'm just maintaining some type of moisture in there. They have looked really, they look really well, and I'm very well pleased in that. And we have some blueberries, as you can see. This one is loaded down, and it's not big. That's the Brightwell, and there's that. And let's see, we have some strawberries over here. Some of them have not made, but been coming out here and kind of snacking. Actually, here's one right here. It looks like some bugs have gotten into, but that's okay. And then there's all that. And then here's the Climax. Got a few berries on it, not as many, but that's okay. And then lastly, here's the Tiff Blue with a few blueberries on it. Again, super stoked with this area. And now we get to the more disappointing side of the yard. It's terrible to say, but honestly, this side is very disappointing, and I've had a drastic changes over here, other than the 2 fruit trees. So on this one, we have a Gala apple. It has not performed well, and if I were going back and doing a little bit more research, I would not have gotten this tree. But you never know. You live and you learn, and I'm just gonna let it grow. That's okay. Um, so yeah, this is the Gala apple. I mean, it's put on a ton of new growth. I mean, look at that from here to here. That's pretty solid, but it just hasn't really performed as well as I hoped. And I honestly think I figured out why. So before we get to this part over here, which will explain how I figured out why, let's go over here to the Fuji apple, which also again has not performed well. It had some flowers on it. It did have a fruit on it last year. This year didn't get pollinated, and you know what? That's okay. Again, hasn't performed well, but that's the Fuji apple. Wouldn't wouldn't do it again. Really would try to find more fruit trees suited to our area, and these just they weren't it, chief. So anyway, now we have this new area. So originally I had 3 blackberry bushes in it. Well, come to find out, 2 of the 3 were infected or had, I don't really know how diseases in plants work, had orange rust. And don't really know much about orange rust. I just know that it's pretty fatal. And once it's in the plant, there's not really much recovery. So I had to dig them out and just scrap this whole area. So another thing about this area, there was a golden delicious apple. I think that's what they're called. It was right there in the middle, and it went through 2 iterations. It died twice. So this whole area is kind of just played, and you see grass doesn't really grow. I threw out some seed and nothing has taken. It's kind of just weeds and this native native grass patches, which is fine, but I would like some grass in this entire area. You can see it's really pitiful. So what I did was I started digging to do a little bit more investigation of like, why does no grass grow here? And come to find out, about 4 inches down underneath pretty much this right here, it is like hitting steel. My shovel blade bent. That's how compact this soil is. So what I did was I tilled it up. I had no choice. I put some Miracle Grow garden soil. I dug about 12 inches down, and I mixed 6 bags of Miracle Grow garden soil mix and put some compost in it and just intermixed it with all of my native soil just to get some type of life. And then after that, I said, you know what, I'll just turn this into a little in-ground bed. And because I had this cattle panel here, so I put some cucumbers there, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna send it up. If they don't grow, that's cool, whatever. But they have come up. All of them have come up. I mean, every seed that I put in the ground has come up. And then I put some sunflowers there. Maybe send a long taproot down and break it up a little bit, bring up nutrients from the depth of the soil. Did all that, and then I just put some zinnias in the front there. And again, everything is up right there. So I'm not disappointed in that. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully we'll figure out if that was the situation, if that's the reason why this area just doesn't grow anything, then maybe we can till this up and try to amend it. And now on to some of my container gardening. So I have some citrus trees in containers, of course some herbs in containers, and so I'm going to show you how those have done and how they performed, and some of my mistakes that I've made just during this weird off season. So we'll start with the satsuma tree. Satsuma tree, I really like this fruit. This is a really good tasting fruit, and I'll take that to the bank. But it flowered early, and it threw out a ton of flowers. I mean, the bees were going crazy over this thing, and it's still got a few flowers on it over here, and of course some buds that you'll see mixed in. It's still budding and everything, and it is loaded down with fruit. And like I said, this is some of the best tasting fresh fruit that I've ever had in my life. It is just something, it's like a homegrown tomato, you know. It's so good. So there's the fruit. I mean, it's crazy the amount of fruit that's on this tiny tree in this container. Now, I do regularly feed my citrus trees with a citrus fertilizer, and so it's coming on the second feeding of the season. I do also use Alaska fish fertilizer as well, kind of sparingly since it is in a container, and I don't want it to throw out a ton of green new growth and not have any fruit production. So I am kind of cautious with that. So I do kind of maintain a little bit of a balance between the fish fertilizer as well as the granule fertilizer. And then we have the mandarin tree, which honestly, this is the best looking tree out of everything. I just like the way that it's kind of bushy and just formed. So I had a little bit of cold damage from the start where I did trim it back a little bit. It was just kind of flopping over and fried from the cold. But it also, I was nervous because it didn't flower at first because I wasn't sure why. This is the first time, or it had never flowered before. And so I was like, why are all my other citrus trees flowering and not this one? Well, this one flowers later. So it's still got a few flowers on it. It wasn't as loaded down as the satsuma, but it did flower. It did get pollinated, and there are a few fruits kind of mixed in. You really have to look. Oh yeah, here's some over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could keep counting, but I'm very interested to see how this fruit is going to taste on this tree. Now going up the steps, we have a banana here that I dug out of my grandmother's yard. I'm just going to see, this is kind of an experiment, just see if I can grow it. If not, whatever, I didn't lose anything. Peppermint, oregano that has exploded. We'll come back to this. Some mint that I actually took from a cutting. just to see if I could do it. I stuck it in some water on my windowsill, and then I came out here, put it in the greenhouse in a seed starting thing, and stuck it in this, and it has made a big mint plant. Got some lavender. Fail at lavender because it hates our humidity. So we'll see if I can keep that. Then we have the blackberry. Now, was the of the ones that we grew, this was the one that did not have orange blight on it. I did decide to put it in this container just to monitor it, keep it watered, and keep it pretty much functional, and see what happens. If it gets orange blight on it, I'll pull it and put something else in this container. I'm really bummed that those blackberries had disease. It's just unfortunate because I do like blackberries and I know that they grow really, really well in our area. It's just, yeah, unfortunate that there was blight, orange rust on it. So there's that. That's where it lives right now. And then some mint, more mint. Just what we needed, more mint. Now, this started out as a tiny piece in this section. This is how this container is set up. It's just a trough, basically, with a section in the middle. Tiny pieces, and now this mint has taken over this entire container. And now this is where a mistake was made. I have this Meyer lemon tree in one of these off-brand half whiskey barrels, and it, as you see, really dropped some leaves. I thought that the tree was being overwatered because we had gotten a lot of rain at the time, and I did water it a little too much at one point to flush some ants out of the barrel, and I was worried that I had overwatered it. Well, come to find out, I made a mistake and did not water it at all. And a lot, I mean, this tree, I've never seen more flowers on a tree in my entire life. It was loaded down with flowers. It was way more than the satsuma. This tree was, I don't even know how to, it was white with lemon flowers. And so I was like excited. I was like, y'all's gonna get some fruit from it. Well, didn't water it because I thought it was waterlogged. It was not. And majority of that fruit fell off. Other than you see the three that are already on it, those were already on it. There are some that did hold on, and now we do have some new growth popping through, which I am grateful for. Right there, some new growth. I do need this thing to bush out. I do feed it again this weekend with some of the citrus fertilizer, and hopefully it will bounce back. This is completely my fault. This has overall just been a weird spring. So this is the garden as we go into May. This is it in its fullest. Like I said, this has been a really weird spring. There's not been much rain. Within the past week, we've gotten a good amount of rainfall, but overall, not much rain. A lot of watering with our irrigation lines and everything, but overall, I'm honestly stoked and excited about this harvest season. There's been a few mess ups, a few disappointments, but overall, I think this has been really positive. It's very much a learning experience of what to do, what not to do, what to watch out for. That's pretty much what gardening is just observing and responding as a result of what's going on in the ground, as well as with the weather patterns, pest control, all of that stuff. So overall, I am excited about this early spring season. I think it's been very productive so far. As you see, we do have some fruit already, or some, yeah, fruit. We have some peppers. The snap beans look great. The cucumbers are starting to send out tendrils. The fruit is starting to set on the citrus trees. Overall, really positive, and I'm excited to see what this summer harvest is going to bring. And so stay tuned as we continue our journey of just learning about how to garden in our backyard. Thanks for watching.